Wanted to share some notes on germinating mulberries from seed. And I'd like to start by discussing this little part of my air prune bed here. This is actually peach pits. I actually purchased these. These are level peach, which is used as a rootstock. And the cold stratification instructions say get them moist, soak them for like X number of days, and then cold stratify for 5 months. And I followed those instructions to a T, and these have now been in the ground for months at this point, and I have a germination rate of 0%. This here is Osage orange, and with Osage orange it says cold stratify for 30 days, right? Put them in a moist napkin or whatever, cold stratify for 30 days. Well, I've done that. I've cold stratified for 30 days, and I've also just put them straight in the soil with no cold stratification, and I found that there's almost no difference. There's no discernible difference, let's put it that way, between cold stratified Osage orange versus Osage orange that I simply put into the soil. So I've stopped cold stratifying. I just put my Osage seeds straight into the soil. And is the germination rate fantastic? No, but it's adequate. I mean, seed is so cheap that if I have a 20% germination rate, it doesn't hurt me financially. Here I have some mulberry. This is Russian mulberry, Morus alba tatarica. And I struggled, actually, to get my Morus alba tatarica to germinate. Same thing over here. This is the first year that I've gotten Morus nigra, black mulberry, to germinate. I've got some others over here that are doing even better. These I had planted earlier. This is the first year I've gotten black mulberry to germinate. And the recommended protocol is to soak these for 24 hours, then change the water, soak them again for 24 hours, change the water. You do that for 3 days. Then you cold stratify for 3 months. Well, I tried that, and none of my seeds would germinate. I also tried planting straight into the soil, and none of the seeds germinated. I tried cold stratifying for 5 months, and none of the seeds germinated. So what have I done different that finally got these to germinate? What I did is I just did the soaking for 3 days, right? Soak in water for 24 hours, change out the water, and you do that once a day for 3 days. And then I just planted them directly into the soil. And finally, after years of trying, I have black mulberry that's germinated. And so I just want to highlight that the recommended procedures for germinating trees from seed, you can look them up in a book. So there's a book that everybody knows, all the plant nerds know, the Handbook for Woody Plant Propagation. It's an amazing book, got tons and tons of useful insight on growing trees from seed and from cuttings and from root cuttings and from tissue culture. But those resources are only going to get you so far, because I think sometimes it'll work in one environment, one climate, and it may not work in another climate. Here's another case in point, actually. These are my Moringa oleifera seeds. Some of them have come out of the soil at this point. And I followed the instructions to a T. You're supposed to let the seeds soak for 24 hours, and then you plant them. And there's a certain temperature range that your temperature should stay within, and if your temperature stays within that range, then your moringa will germinate. Well, I've had 0 success following those instructions. And it may be because the temperature range is not appropriate for moringa. So we live in a very, very mild climate. We live in a climate where in the winter it rarely gets below 30 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the summer it rarely gets above 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's an extremely mild climate. Moringa likes to be warm, It's, kind of a subtropical plant. And so the climate here may be too cool for it to germinate outside over the summer. And so whatever was causing my mulberry seeds to not germinate, I've finally found a workaround, right? You just do the soaking for 3 days, plant them straight into the soil, and you don't even worry about cold stratification. So I found that to be successful for, this is Morus nigra. This is Morus alba tatarka, that's Russian mulberry. And I've also found it to be successful for Morus alba, which is just white mulberry. One Morus species that cold stratification actually works for is Morus rubra, which is red mulberry. So here I did the soaking followed by cold stratification for, this was 5 months. And the germination was amazing. So I had a chicken get in here and destroy a whole bunch of seedlings. So this whole thing was covered, but soaking with cold stratification of Morus rubra works perfectly fine. I've got some more Morus rubra right here. These were cold stratified for 3 months. So soaking for 3 days, cold stratification for 3 months with Morus rubra, you'll get beautiful germination. But the other 3, Morus nigra, Morus alba, Morus tatarka, for me personally, just doing the soaking and then just planting directly in the soil has proven to be the highest efficacy, the highest germination rate that I've been able to find. And so I'd love to hear everyone else, what your successes have been and how that relates to your climate. So again, in my very mild climate, soaking without pre-stratification appears to be the way to go.